All right.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Pure Faith Podcast, a podcast where we discuss all things Bible. That's Michelle. I'm Mitchell.
Are you going to finish?
No.
Oh. Well, we ask that you like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and hit the notification icon to be notified when new episodes are released. Obviously, I was not paying much attention, so Mitchell decided to start without me. And now I'm going to start my timer, so that way he will be put on a time limit.
Whoa!
Whoa!
I didn't realize we were actually going to use that.
Well, I guess you shouldn't have started it then.
Guess I'll learn my lesson.
You learned your lesson today. My goodness. Have you all
I'm not actually ready.
Oh, you're not? If you all notice Mitchell's shirt, yes, he is a proud brother of an awesome sister. That sister is me. And Matt has the same shirt because he also is a proud brother of an awesome sister, which is me.
Oh, I thought this was referring to Missy.
Well, I mean, it could, but it's not. You got big muscle or something. Let's fix your shirt here. Whoa, trying to show off the guns.
Notice it looks blue?
It does look blue. It is very much purple, but on the camera it looks blue.
Yeah,
so.
I don't know how it's going to look in editing and in the final version, but...
Very interesting. Speaking of Missy, so I get my nails done. It's
just... Go get her nails done, dude.
It's just something that I've been doing, and I'm glad that I do it. And I decided to go to a different nail tech, and this is my second time going to her, and she's in Marushi. And today I walked in, and she is wearing the cervical cancer awareness t-shirt that we did to raise funds for Missy and for Chip and for Jaden whenever
I was wondering if it was the shirts that we did or if they had...
So I sent a picture to Mitchell, Mom, and to Matt, and obviously I guess I must have put on my Snapchat story, but anyhow, I walked in, I said, "Where did you get the shirt?" And I started tearing up, like crying. And she's like, I'm sorry. She's like, what's going on? And this girl, she graduated the same year as Noah. She's a young lady. I really enjoy her. And I said, that shirt is from my sister's fundraiser. She passed away of cervical cancer. And she's like, "No, you're kidding me." And I said, "No." She's like, "Well, I can't remember where I got it from. It's been a few years, obviously." Yeah. And I said, "Rushi," so I said, "Do you have a family member that works at Clopay?" And she's like, "Well, my grandma worked at Clopay." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Missy worked there for years," but I said, "Her husband, Chip, still works at Clopay." And I said, "Maybe they got it from that." She goes, "Yeah." She goes, "Actually, I think my grandma did give it to me because my mother-in-law at that same time was battling ovarian cancer, and they basically have the same color, cervical cancer and ovarian cancer. The ribbons that you see are the same color." And she's like, "I think my grandma gave it to me." And I just thought, how does it come that she's got the shirt on the day that I'm getting my nails done? I mean, I just felt like, okay, so I guess you are my nail tech and I will continue coming to you for now on. So we were moved. And so I snapped a picture with her before I left, and she was very happy to do that. And so she has a son who's I think he's about a year. I can't remember. We started talking about all that stuff, and I just told her, I said, I'm just glad that, I'm sorry that, your son doesn't have that grandma, that she passed away from cancer, but I'm glad that you have those memories for your son too, to know, who she was. So, it was just a very emotional and very moving day today. So yeah, I thought that was fantastic. So, you got anything?
Not really.
Oh my gosh. I also had lunch with my girlfriend. She asked how you were doing today.
Who's that?
Sarah. I love her. So anyhow, we went to Mexican today.
The one here in town?
Yeah. I've had a wild day. I went to lunch with Sarah, had Mexican, then I went and got my nails done. I didn't have a car, so I had to walk to BMI to get your car. And then I parked your car, had to walk home.
Did you even move my seat?
Yeah, but I moved it back.
Okay. But it didn't seem like it was really...
Yeah, I didn't move it too much, but I literally got in your car and I'm like, are you... What is that smell? I was like, is he growing garlic in here? I had to put the windows down. Like, it smells so bad in here.
Happened my lunch, because I ate my lunch in my car.
Oh my gosh. I put the windows down.
So we had, last night Paige made chicken, well, it's chicken tenders, homemade
Mhm.
chicken tenders, and it was some sort of Parmesan
Okay.
encrusted, and I think there was garlic.
I didn't know it was that, or I told my nail tech, I said, I don't know if he's got some kind of garlic onion pretzels or something in the container. I said, I looked at it and I was like, what is this? And I sat it back down.
Spicy garlic pretzels.
Oh my
Very good.
goodness. Oh, no, not for me. Not for me. But yeah, so it was an interesting day.
I just worked.
Yeah. But how are you doing? You feel okay?
Yeah,
You're healing okay?
sure.
Like, she asked me this, I'm like, I don't know. I guess he's all right.
So my scars, they're past the dark purple. They're getting lighter in color, so they're
Okay.
just kind of blending in. I hardly even notice it anymore. Like,
Are they still tender?
no,
No. Okay.
no. The boys touch them all the time.
Okay.
Mainly the big one. The little ones are so small. The big one, um, they'll pull my shirt up and look and touch it. Like, whatever.
Oh, your boy.
Like, I don't care when they do that, but sometimes it's funny if we're at a family gathering and the boy just come up and pull my shirt up.
Yeah, well, everybody
It's like, whatever.
in our family and everyone in Paige's family, we've all seen your belly.
Yeah.
Way too much.
Yeah, I don't care.
Oh shoot. But yeah, no, she asked me and I told her, I said he seems to be fine. I said, he must be healing okay. I said he hasn't really taken it easy. He does his day-to-day thing, and I said in time he'll have his first set of scans, and at that time, we'll just pray that everything's clear and go from there.
I was actually thinking today that, while I was working, that it's been a while since I've felt that lag,
Mm,
that lingering. So I think physically I'm perfectly fine.
doing better.
Yeah.
Good.
At least back to my normal self, to where I can work my hours and keep my energy up and get all my work done.
Good deal. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Also, just to let everyone know, in the next couple of weeks, you'll be doing your church
Oh yeah.
message, because you'll be doing that here. So we're just gonna.
So by the time you see this, because I'm doing 2 Sundays in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Pastor and his wife were celebrating the 30th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations!
And so they're taking a little bit of a vacation somewhere. I don't know where they're going.
Yeah, me neither.
But they asked me to cover for church for 2 weeks. So when you see this, or when it's released, it would have been last week. So the Sunday before, and then this upcoming Sunday, I'll be doing service here at church. I know this first Sunday I'll be doing the Word of God. I think I want to call it the triune Word of God,
Okay.
because there's 3 aspects to it that I'm covering.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm still playing with that. I know it's in a couple days, but I
Yeah.
still don't have my notes done.
That's okay. I got my songs picked, so
That's fine.
because I do worship at the church, so I got the songs already picked out.
Yeah, and I'm going to cover next week, because I don't think my Word of God's going to cover 2 weeks, but I don't know. We'll see.
The message will be brought to you
Mm-hmm.
to bring to us.
Sure.
Yeah. So I went ahead, believe it or not, don't fall off your chair or anything. I actually went to Genesis 14, 17 through 24.
How'd you like all those names?
Well,
All the names of the kings?
I know, right? I first started, I'm like, good golly.
One of
the things, Melchizedek it's hard enough. And then I'm like, what in the world's going on? But I did, because in our last Bible study, you said, that's where he's first mentioned. is in Genesis. And really, like you said, it's just,
those verses.
yeah, there's not
After
much
that,
there.
there is one mention of him in Psalm 110:4, I think. I know it's Psalm 110. He's mentioned, but it's just literally
I
about
think
the
it's
order of
because
Melchizedek.
I think it's because the Bible wants to write that. Whoever put it in there wanted to write Melchizedek
A lot of times.
a lot of times.
Yeah, because I think I didn't actually look up the total number, but in that you read from Genesis,
Yeah.
Melchizedek's name's probably in there 2 or 3 times. I don't know. It's mentioned once, like I said, in Psalms. I
Mhm.
think it's only mentioned once. But then in Hebrews, there's like 20 times. And I'm making up these numbers because I don't know what the actual numbers are. But the vast majority of the time that the name Melchizedek appears in the Bible
Is in
is in
Hebrews.
Hebrews.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I just want you to know that I did.
Good job.
I know, right? I was like, I was sitting there and so I usually do a devotion in the morning, and I've been doing a verse a day. And I've been getting my Bible out. I actually physically, instead of going on the Bible app, I'm getting my Bible out. I'm turning the pages. I'm going to it. I'm looking at it, and I screenshotted my verses for February off this probably an Instagram post or something, and I must have moved my picture or deleted it. So I didn't have a Bible verse that day, and I was like, oh, yes, I do.
There you go.
I'm gonna go to Genesis and I'm gonna see where this is. So anyhow,
I've
I
been
did it.
I've been reading all over the place here lately.
Have you?
Yeah.
Hmm. It's easy to do though. It's very easy to do.
Yeah.
So I imagine that's where we're starting.
Yes. Now
Yes.
that my iPad has
Oh, it's got
shut
even
down.
some battery life to it. Good job.
Yeah, better than last week.
Yeah.
So for those that watched last week,
Hmm.
um, so where we're at, we're kind of in the middle of a whirlwind. So this all started out in Hebrews 11:6, and I wanted to focus closer in on this concept of drawing near to God. So the whole idea of being able to draw near to God, we need to have a mediator or high priest. So we went to Hebrews 7:11, right?
Well, this was 7-1, but did we
Yeah,
go to
yeah.
7
So we went to
first?
7:11 first,
Okay.
and we're in the process of covering Hebrews 7:11 through 28. We got into Hebrews 7:11, and then we deviated from there and went to Hebrews 7:1 through 4 to figure out who Melchizedek is. Um, and that's all the further we got. We read Hebrews 7:1 through 4 last week, and I mentioned that the actual location where Melchizedek is mentioned is Genesis 14:17 through 24, like you were
Mhm.
just saying.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't actually plan on going there to read that
Right.
because there's a lot of hard names to read.
Right.
But most of the stuff that's in there is also here in Hebrews, except for one thing that I might mention later on.
Okay.
And by later on, I mean later on in the month, maybe next month.
Okay. In the future.
In the future. And if you stick around with me for a couple years, I'll get to my whole point of what I'm trying to make here, just so you know.
Isn't that the truth?
So I'm going to start out by reading Hebrews 7:1 through 4 again. For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God, met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings, and blessed him. And to him Abraham apportioned a tenth part of everything. He is first, by translation of his name, King of Righteousness, and then he is also King of Salem, that is, King of Peace. He is without father or mother or genealogy, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but resembling the Son of God, he continues a priest forever. See how great this man was, to whom Abraham, the patriarch, gave a tenth of the spoils. So we're going to kind of go through this verse by verse, and it's not really going to be verse by verse, but we're going to point out all these different aspects of Melchizedek and then compare Melchizedek and Jesus.
Okay.
So both the Genesis reference and this Hebrews reference, they both tell us that Melchizedek was both king and the priest of God Most High. And by saying, I mean, they typically don't use this language in the Bible, but being king of God Most High, that is, or priest of, now I'm confusing myself, being priest of the God Most High, that is just a fancy way of saying that he was a priest of God.
Okay.
So I know there they say it's God Most High, but you have to remember back in those days they had a lot of gods.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody had gods, and they had gods for different things, for this and that. No matter what it was, there was a god for it.
Mm.
Well, the God Most High is the God of God, the King of Kings, Lord of
Mm-hmm.
Lords. So that is who this Melchizedek was a priest to, was to God. And so that is kind of important. And both Hebrews and Genesis both tell us that. And they both tell us that Abraham gives 1/10 of the spoils to Melchizedek. So, like, so we're not going to go back and read Genesis, but to let you know what this story was from Genesis. This is the story where, at this point in time, they are in the quote unquote promised land, but this is before God actually gave them the land. So they were sojourning, however you say that word, in this land. But at that point it was Canaanite land. And Abraham was there with his nephew Lot.
Uh-huh.
At that point, Lot was living in Sodom. And this is the Sodom and Gomorrah that are destroyed by God. But Lot is living there. And well, a group of kings, and again, to set this up, back in those days, like every city had its own king almost. Like there were kings upon kings, and it was kind of like gods. Everybody had a god and everybody had a king.
Mm.
There's a lot of kings, a lot of gods. So there was a group of kings. I think it was 4 or 5. I forget which side was which, but there was a group of kings that came against like Sodom and some surrounding areas, and Sodom and the surrounding areas go out to stop them. Well, they're defeated, and these kings that were coming in, they pretty much took all this. The most important thing is they took Lot and his family and
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of other families from the Sodom Gomorrah area and took them away as
Okay.
plunder. Well, long story short, Abraham finds out about it,
Okay.
and he takes just himself and basically a group of his own men. They'd be like employees, people that are working for him, and go out and track down these kings. And he's basically trying to get Lot back. And he defeats these kings.
Okay.
And he takes all of this plunder, all this loot that was taken. Now Abraham now has it because he took it from these kings that he defeated. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where in this Hebrews it talks about when so the priest of the Most High God met Abraham returning from the slaughter of the kings. So this is after
Mm.
Abraham went out,
Okay.
killed these kings
Yep.
that initially came in and killed the kings and a bunch of people from that area that he currently lives and took them away. He went and hunted down those kings and killed them and
Mm-hmm.
then brought all that stuff back. Well, seeing how this was all now plunder, it was all technically Abraham's
Right.
that he could have because he defeated these kings.
Right.
So he had all the stuff, but he didn't take any of the stuff. He gave 1/10 of it to Melchizedek
Mm-hmm.
and then gave the rest back to the people.
Hmm.
Like he his saying or his belief was he didn't want that to be a reason for people to think that he is wealthy, or where he got his wealth from. So he wanted to go rescue Lot. That was his
Right.
motivation.
He didn't need all of the
No,
others.
no. He just went to go rescue Lot, and in the process rescued a bunch of other people, but his motivation was to rescue Lot. And so this is the situation in where now he's coming back. Abraham's coming back, and this is where Melchizedek comes out to greet him, to meet him. And you have to remember, like I said, there's kings in all these different cities, and Melchizedek is the king of Salem. Well, Salem was a Canaanite city. Melchizedek was a Canaanite king.
Okay.
Abraham was not a Canaanite. He was Hebrew. He had no reason
To help.
to give a tenth of anything to
Right.
anybody. He
Right.
could have kept that all to himself and nobody would have questioned it. But the fact that Abraham is giving a tenth to Melchizedek, a Canaanite priestly king,
Mm-hmm.
what does that tell you about Abraham's view of Melchizedek? Abraham has to have a very high view of
Right.
Melchizedek and have a very high view of his priestly position in order to tie that 1/10 to Melchizedek. And there's a lot more around this, but that's the big thing that I wanted to point out there is that fact that Abraham views Melchizedek as a superior religious authority.
Hmm.
Um, so now let's go into some of these things that the author of Hebrews says about Melchizedek. And the first one was that by his name, he is king of righteousness. Well, that is literally because if you break apart Melchizedek's name, the first part is Malchi.
Malachi.
Malchi means king.
Okay.
And the second part is
Cheesedek.
Tzedek, which means
Oh
righteousness.
yeah, there's no ch in it, is it? Tizedek.
Tzedek.
Tizedek.
The ch is in the mouth,
Yes.
which is Malchi. It's not, so technically it would be Melchizedek.
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 Whatever.
But so yes, so the literal definition of Melchizedek is king of righteousness.
King of righteousness.
So that's what it meant by that. Going up to the next part where it's talking about how he's the king of Salem
Mm-hmm.
and king of peace. Well, that has again, this has multiple meanings and stuff around it. But Salem itself, well, Salem is a city
Mm-hmm.
that Melchizedek is the king of, but the actual definition of Salem is peace. So not only is he king of Salem, if you define Salem, he's the king of peace. So that's what that comes from. And then the next part is without father or mother or genealogy. This is one that,
Without mother, without father or mother or genealogy.
yes. So this
Oh
this
yeah.
is just simply saying that,
He's got no line. Like he just appeared.
well, that's what you could think, or that's the way it
If he
leads you to
has no
think,
father, he has no mother.
and no genealogy.
He
But
just appeared.
what that really means
Oh.
is, like I was saying before, this is a Canaanite king. Well, the Israelites, the Hebrew people, they didn't keep track of the Canaanite kings, especially with there being that many kings. So this is just a way of saying,
We
we
didn't
don't know. We
we
don't know who
didn't
this guy was. We don't know who his mom and dad are. We don't know who his grandparents are.
we didn't write it down.
And this goes right along with the next part, which is um, having neither beginning of days nor end of life. Again, we don't know when he was born. We don't know when he was died. We don't know anything about this guy. It's just He was there.
He was there.
And he came out to meet Abraham.
And he got 1/10.
And he got 1/10 of the booty.
Yes.
And
He
there was
is
some other stuff that he did
priest of
that
Most High.
he was priest of Most High. But there's some other stuff he did that I think we might talk about a little bit because I think it's interesting.
Okay.
But it doesn't really. I don't know where it's going to fit in at because it's not in my notes. But the fact that he has no father, no mother, no genealogy, and the timeline at which this is happening, because this is happening with Abraham. So it isn't until what was it, 4 generations later that the Levitical priesthood is established, when the 12 tribes are established. Because you have Abraham, Isaac, and then Jacob, and then Jacob becomes Israel, and then it's Jacob's four sons, and one of the sons is Levi, and that's where we get the Levitical priesthood. So it wasn't until Jacob's kids become the 12 tribes of Israel that, and really it's actually a lot later, but I won't get down that rabbit hole. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, at this point in time, we know that Melchizedek is not a descendant of Levi because Levi is not yet born.
Okay.
And Levi comes from Abraham, and we don't even know where Melchizedek comes from.
No, because he has no genealogy. He has no father. He has no mother. He has no genealogy. He has no time of birth. He has no time of anything.
No.
So he's just there.
We just know he's not Abraham's son.
Right.
So he's not from Levi or anything like that.
Right.
And that's going to come into more significance later as we start looking into this whole idea of the order of Melchizedek.
Okay.
But it's something I need to point out, the fact that no father, no mother, no genealogy, no beginning of days or end of life, that all is going to come into play once we start comparing Jesus to Melchizedek.
Okay.
Which is what we're going to start doing right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
As I read my next line of my notes.
Yeah, about 4 minutes.
Okay.
Yay.
Yeah, I'm not going to get through this. Anyways.
That's okay.
So, let's compare Jesus to Melchizedek.
Okay, I'm ready.
First, both are kings.
Yes.
Both are high priest.
Yes.
Or priest of the God Most High.
Okay.
So we look to Jesus for our high priest, for our priest of the God Most High.
Right.
But if you remember at the end of Hebrews 7:1-4, right after it's talking about having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but resembling the Son of God, he continues a priest forever. So the fact that we don't know the end of Melchizedek's life, that means that his priesthood could theoretically go on forever because we don't know when it ends.
Okay.
Well, in the same way, Jesus' priesthood, we know, goes on forever. So I'm going to come back around to that once we get towards the end. Jesus is the King of righteousness, and we know that based on his character, based on who he is, and we do see several examples of that through the Bible. I didn't write all of them down, though.
Right.
We also know that Jesus is the Prince of Peace.
Yes, yes.
Where Melchizedek was the King of Peace, which is the King of Salem. Something else I didn't mention about Salem was its location, which is in a lot of debate. But the two beliefs, and the one that I think is most interesting, is the fact that a lot of, well, not a lot, it's about 50-50. But a part of scholars believe that Salem was or is the modern day Jerusalem. So this king of the God Most High, who is a priestly king, was ruling in a city called Salem that became Jerusalem.
Okay.
But that's only one belief. Just to be fair, the other belief is that it is another city in that area, and they reference to the fact that John the Baptist, at one point he is said to be near the city of Salim because the water was plentiful there for
Oh
baptizing.
yeah.
But the spelling is a little bit different, and I don't know if that
Mm,
compares.
I see what you're
So some
saying.
people say no, that is the Salem, who then became Salim. Other people say no, it's Jerusalem. I don't know what the actual answer is, but I think it is kind of
It
interesting.
is quite interesting.
So there's actually a lot of stuff around Melchizedek, even though there's really not much about him. Um, so going to this family line, the fact that Melchizedek had no mother, father genealogy. Well, we know Jesus has an earthly mother from the
Mm-hmm.
time that he came to earth.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to remember that there were two sides of Jesus. There was his earthly human side,
Mm-hmm.
and then his divine side, his
Mm-hmm.
his godly side, his so yes, if you look at it from the earthly aspect of Jesus, yes, he has a mother, but and technically he had a father, Joseph,
Mm-hmm.
who adopted him. So he technically had a mother and father. But if you look at him from the side of his divine being, he has no mother.
No.
He has no father.
No.
He has no beginning of
Mm-mm.
days nor end of life. So if you're looking at Jesus as the Messiah, as the divine figure that he was, then this also fits into play. And that's where Melchizedek and Jesus really do have a very similar comparison.
Mm.
Um, I know we're out of time probably.
We are.
One last thing. Um, which is the fact, this idea of Jesus being in the order of Melchizedek. So why is Jesus said to be from the order of Melchizedek? Well, we just seen comparisons from the Hebrew author of what he says about Melchizedek and how that compares to Jesus and all the similarities. But the main reason why Jesus is said to come from the order of Melchizedek is because, like what I was saying before, that Melchizedek doesn't come from the line of Levi.
Okay.
He is outside of that. He is outside of the old covenant setting, the structure, because in that Old Testament structure, in that structure of the 12 tribes of Israel, only Levites could be priests.
Hmm.
And I am going to cover this a little bit harder later on in my notes. Um, but those Levites, they could be priests, but they couldn't be kings.
Oh,
They were not allowed to be kings.
okay.
And any other tribe, they could be king, but they could not be priest. So the fact that we now have Jesus, who is a kingly or a priestly king,
Right.
that doesn't come from he's coming from the line of Judah. He's not coming from the line of Levi. So now he is outside of that Levitical priesthood. Melchizedek was outside
Yeah.
of that
Right. Levitical.
Levitical priesthood. Good job.
Look
Look at,
at me.
yeah, I was impressed.
It just rolled right off my
It
tongue.
did.
Levitical.
There you go. Um, So yeah, so that's the reason why Jesus is said to be from the order of Melchizedek, because he breaks that structure, that normal structure of the Levitical priesthood and the fact that he's a priestly king.
Mm-hmm.
That is the reason why he is often said to be from the order of Melchizedek. You're very proud of
I
yourself.
am so proud of myself. Everybody out there is proud of me too.
Sure they are. Okay,
All
I think
right.
that's all I got.
All right. Well, that is all that we have for tonight. So we thank you for joining us. Please leave a comment Please leave a comment on this video or go to our contact page at purefaithliving.com to send us a message. And as always, if you like what you hear, then we ask that you share the show with others so we can all work together in sharing the good news of Jesus Christ. Don't forget to subscribe, and we will talk to you again next time.
Have a blessed day, everybody.